They dragged me out of my rack before sunrise, no warning, just steel hands, cold cuffs, and a barked accusation that didn't make sense. Your wife and kids testified against you. I didn't ask why. I already knew silence buys more time than questions. Outside, Reveille screamed from the speakers, a mockery of order. I walked between the MPs like I belonged there, because right then, I wasn't sure I didn't. Inside the station, they dumped me in a cold metal chair. "Phone call," I said. The older MP glanced up. "Who are you calling?" I stared at him. Flat. Measured. "None of your business." My fingers didn't shake as I dialed, not because I wasn't angry, but because I'd known this was coming. I just hadn't known how soon. The call lasted 12 seconds. No names, just an address, a date, a tone that said, "Move." An hour later, the entire station froze when he walked in. The Secretary of Defense, in full uniform, red-faced, veins raised, voice cutting through the air like a razor. "Release him immediately." The MPs looked confused, scared. They obeyed. Then his eyes found her file on the table. He read it, tightened his jaw, turned slowly to the guards. "Detain his wife," he said, "now." "You feel betrayal differently when it comes from those who called you daddy." Their voices were on the recording, fed lines like actors, rehearsed lies. "I saw him hit Mom. He said he wanted us gone." It wasn't their words that broke me. It was the hesitation, the pauses between sentences, like they were waiting for someone to nod behind the camera. She had coached them. I could hear her whisper in every unnatural word. She didn't know I'd bugged the bedroom. Not for her, not originally. I did it for the insomnia, the paranoia, the creeping feeling that shadows were always just a step too close. Turns out I wasn't crazy, just early. The file folder from CID was thicker than my marriage certificate. Text messages, financial transfers, private photos. A lieutenant, younger, sloppier, and dumber than both of us. She didn't delete anything. People in love never do. They think passion is privacy's twin. But passion's loud, messy, traceable. And she left prints everywhere. I didn't confront her. I played dumb, went to work, ate her dinners, watched her study me like I was the one shifting. She smiled harder, talked softer, touched more, covering her tracks with affection like it was bleach. But bleach doesn't erase blood, it spreads it. So I tested everything. DNA swab on my son's toothbrush, a maternity test on a hair strand from her brush, because something in her story never sat right. And when the results came, I didn't rage. I just walked outside, lit a cigarette, and let the wind punch my face. One child wasn't mine, the younger one, the one who clung hardest. She wasn't even careful. The conception date didn't match my deployment by 3 weeks. And yet, she'd looked me in the eye and told me she missed me so much she couldn't sleep. No wonder, her nights were already full. I waited until Friday night. She was putting wine glasses on the table, wearing that silk dress she used to reserve for anniversaries, trying too hard. I handed her the manila envelope like it was mail. She laughed, nervous. "What's this?" "Read." Her hands hesitated, then opened it. Each page turned slower than the last. The paternity report, the messages, the recordings. I didn't speak, didn't blink. I watched her come apart like wet paper. She tried to speak, to spin, to pull some twisted thread of sympathy from the wreckage. But I'd already unspooled the whole story. The affair, the setup, the false report to Jag, the plan to take the kids, the house, the money, all of it. And she looked at me like a stranger had entered the room. She was right. The man who loved her had died a quiet death 6 months ago. This one only wanted the truth, to speak loud enough to bury her lies. So I made the call, not to a lawyer, not to my CO. I called the man she didn't know existed, the one whose name she read on a bank account once and didn't bother to ask about. The man whose daughter I saved during an embassy siege. The Secretary of Defense owes you everything when you carry his unconscious child out of a burning building. I told him everything, not in anger, just facts, dates, evidence, motive. He didn't say much, just understood. And now, hours later, he's here, face hard, voice final. He orders her held for fraud, false testimony, manipulation of federal processes. She screams. The sound is jagged, desperate, not for justice, not for the kids, for control, because she just lost it. I watch her wrists tighten in the same cuffs they used on me. Only I don't flinch. I don't look away. She's not my wife anymore. She's just a file in someone else's hands. They offered me an apology. The MPs, the base commander, even the secretary. I didn't take it. Apologies don't erase the echo of your son lying with your name in his mouth. They don't stitch back the hours you sat in a cell wondering if you missed something, some signal, some clue. I packed my bag, didn't say goodbye to the kids. They weren't mine anymore, maybe never were. That part hurt less than I expected, because sometimes the deepest pain is silence, and once you've survived that, everything else is just noise. As I walked past the gate, a corporal saluted. I didn't return it, not out of disrespect, but because I was no longer part of that order. I had stepped into a colder world, clearer, sharper, and as I closed the car door, the only thought I allowed myself was this: next time, I won't need to call anyone.